Good evening and welcome to the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin for Wednesday, January 7, 2026. I'm Adana Dorek. In the headlines tonight, former Foreign Affairs Minister says the U.S. capture of Maduro could ease pressure on border tensions. Let the court speak. Nandlal pushes back as extradition case sparks claims of political interference. Minister Ed Scheel orders removal of obstructive billboards at busy Linden-Sudyke Highway Junction. $142 billion held investment. 25 new centers, 6 regional hospitals, 6 under construction. And son slapped with 35 years jail sentence for 2021 killing of mother. Now for the news in depth. The recent capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife by U.S. forces is expected to lessen immediate military pressure on Guyana. Guyana's agent in the International Court of Justice ICJ border case, Carl Granade says. Granade said the U.S. action and the resulting change in Caracas leadership will probably put on hold Venezuela's capacity to pursue military objectives against Guyana, even as long-standing diplomatic and legal pressure continues. More in this Colin Abrams report.
It is Greenwich's view that the sudden shift in Venezuela's leadership and its relationship with the United States is likely to delay or stall Venezuelan military ambitions towards Guyana. Maduro was taken into U.S. custody in a military operation at the start of January and now faces charges in New York U.S. federal court after being arraigned on drug trafficking and related charges. Greenwich said the U.S. action and the resulting change in Caracas's leadership will probably put on hold Venezuela's capacity to pursue military objectives against Guyana, even as long-standing diplomatic and legal pressure continues. The capture of Maduro, marked by a high-profile U.S. strike in Caracas that moved him from power, led to Vice President Delcy Rodriguez being sworn in as Venezuela's interim president. Rodriguez's interim government has maintained Maduro's territorial claim over Guyana's oil-rich Essequibo region, but could face competing priorities under U.S. influence and scrutiny. Maduro had been at the forefront of aggressive rhetoric and actions against Guyana in recent years, asserting Venezuela's claim over two-thirds of the neighboring country's territory, a claim at the center of a decades-long dispute now before the International Court of Justice, ICJ. Tensions escalated in 2023 after Guyana announced its first offshore oil auction, followed by Venezuela's reaffirmation of its claim, increased troops movement along the shared border, and political referendum efforts related to Essequibo. More recently, incidents including alleged attacks on Guyanese soldiers near the western border and the entry of a Venezuelan naval vessel into Guyana's exclusive economic zone heightened concerns about security and territorial integrity. Greenwich noted that the core issue before the World Court involves the 1899 Arbitral Award, which legally established the boundary between the two countries. Venezuela accepted the award for decades, but in 1962 declared it null and void, leading to its ongoing claim over the Essequibo region, a claim Guyana disputes and has sought to resolve through international legal channels. A ruling in the case is expected later this year. Greenwich also questioned whether a Venezuela facing internal turmoil and external pressure would be in a position to pursue military acquisitiveness toward Guyana, suggesting that common sense would argue against launching new territorial ambitions when a country struggles to secure its own sovereignty and stability. Guyana continues to monitor developments in Venezuela closely while pursuing a peaceful legal resolution through the ICJ and stresses the importance of international law and cooperation is underpinning regional security. Colin Abrams, Guyana TV9 News.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal has rejected claims that the courts are being influenced by political considerations as extradition proceedings involving U.S.-sanctioned businessman Azuddin Mohammed and his father Nazar Mohammed continue before the courts. Here is more.
Speaking during his weekly program Issues in the News, Nandlal described recent public comments by defense attorney Roycel Ford, SC, as dangerous and misleading, warning that such assertions risk undermining public trust in the justice system. At the heart of the controversy are suggestions that political considerations have crept beyond the executive arm, of the state and into the judiciary itself, as allegation the Attorney General flatly dismissed.
Misleading the public and bringing the administration of justice into disrepute. That is my concern. Because when they do that, they're leading people to think that the administration of justice is being compromised. Whereas in truth and in law, they are either misunderstanding the law, misquoting the law, or maligning falsely and maliciously the system that administers justice. And as officers of the court, they have a duty not to.
He pointed to the recent written ruling of the Chief Justice, who refused an application to stay the magistrate court proceedings. According to Nandlal, the decision was detailed, reasoned, and grounded in law, reflecting careful consideration of submissions from both sides.
By and large, the learned Chief Justice rejected the submissions made by the Mohammed's legal team, led by Roysdale Ford, Senior Counsel, and adopted the legal submissions made by the Attorney General. And that constituted, in essence, his ruling. But the judgment, the written judgment showed that the judge examined the submissions from both sides and stated why he rejected the submissions of the Mohammeds.
Beyond the courtroom, Nandlal sought to humanize the impact of the legal sparring, cautioning that repeated legal challenges and public commentary can confuse and mislead ordinary citizens who may not understand the complexities of extradition law.
And this comes despite the fact that an application for a stay was refused by the Chief Justice of the country. The natural thing in such an eventuality is for the lower court to be allowed to proceed. In this case, another wave of objections surfaced from the defense. I must, at this point in time, disclose, as Mr. Ford has disclosed it already, that they have filed a second wave of proceedings in the High Court in which they are alleging that the government, the entire government of Guyana, is biased, that the Minister of Home Affairs is biased, and the government can't extradite the Mohammeds.
The Attorney General also reminded viewers that constitutional challenges to the Fugitive Offenders Act are not new. Similar arguments, he said, were tested and rejected by the High Court as far back as 2018, making the current claims legally weak and repetitive. Nandlal rejected suggestions that the magistrate denied the defense adequate time or opportunity, arguing that some of the issues raised had no footing in extradition law and involved what he described as distortions of statutory provisions. Emphasizing his dual responsibility, Nandlal said his duty extends beyond any single case. He made it clear that the public criticism would not silence him, particularly where the integrity of state institution is at stake, quote unquote. When the judiciary is unfairly attacked, I will respond, Nandlal declared. With decades of extradition matters handled by Guyana, the Attorney General insisted that the Mohammed case is being treated no differently. His closing message was a warning and an appeal to the nation. Attempts to erode confidence in the courts, he said, must be confronted, not entertained. Adana Dor, Ghana TV9 News.
Minister of Public Works Juan Edgehill has ordered the immediate removal of billboards obstructing motorists' view at the busy Linden-Sootdijk junction, announcing a joint government effort to address road safety hazards and improve traffic conditions following an on-site inspection. During an on-site address, the minister said several billboards positioned along the roadway are creating dangerous blind spots for motorists, particularly around bends and turns. Calvin Abrams has more.
During an on-site visit to the busy Linden-Suez Dyke Junction area, Minister Juan Egil said several billboards positioned along the roadway are creating dangerous blind spots for motorists, particularly around bends and turns. He explained that drivers are unable to see oncoming traffic and confirmed that he personally observed the hazard during the visit. The minister warned that while the billboards are being used for advertising, they pose a serious risk and could result in accidents. He identified one billboard near the roadway and another in the area of the boat landing as especially problematic. According to Egil, the obstructions are expected to be removed within days as part of a joint operation involving multiple agencies.
So within a couple of days, we can get this cleaned up. It's going to be a joint approach headed by the Special Projects Unit, collaboration of the contractor on the Linden-Suez Dyke and the Good Success Tamiri, and we'll square up here because we got to get this roundabout. It's an expanded roundabout that is being built here, right?
The on-site visit was led by the Ministry of Public Works through its Special Projects Unit in collaboration with contractors and representatives from Linden-Suez Dyke and surrounding communities. Officials reviewed ongoing unplanned infrastructure works, including road widening, drainage improvements, and the installation of culverts. Minister Egil explained that while a major road expansion project is planned for the area, immediate upgrades are required to address existing conditions. He said the decision has been taken to improve the roadway in its current state while preparations continue for larger developments. Discussions also focus on challenges associated with road paving, particularly damage caused by heavy 30 to 50 tons vehicles on newly laid asphalt. Engineers noted that inefficient curing time has previously led to sections of the road deteriorating shortly after paving. Officials emphasized the need to balance construction requirements with traffic demands, acknowledging that roads often must be reopened quickly. The activation of surveillance cameras in the area was also welcomed, with officials noting that the systems will help monitor activity and deter vandalism. The National Data Management Authority was credited for its support in making the cameras operational. The inspection concluded with officials traveling further along the roadway to assess additional problem areas before returning to the highway. Authorities said updates will be provided as billboard removal and road improvement works continue. Calvin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
Deonarain Adokwu was sentenced to 35 years imprisonment on Tuesday for the murder of his mother, Tishwati Babu Jaglal, following sentencing proceedings at the Berbice High Court. Justice Sandel Kisun described the 2021 killing at their number 3 village, West Coast Berbice home, as an extremely serious crime marked by gratuitous violence against a vulnerable victim. The judge cited aggravating factors including the brutality of the attack, the familial relationship, and the victim's vulnerability, noting that such crimes undermine family and social protection. Although Adokwu was credited for the time already spent on remand, the court ruled that mitigating factors did not outweigh the gravity of the offense. More news on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
GCOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise to produce an official list of electors, OLE. Anyone who became 18 years or older on December 31, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. If you have changed your address since you were registered, you need to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your new area of residence to apply for a transfer. Sunday, January 18, 2026 is the last day you can apply for a transfer during this exercise. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. Dr. David Hines, a political activist, has raised a policy-focused question regarding national preparedness in the event of increased migration flows into the country. He noted that against the background of recent international developments involving Venezuela, including reports surrounding the U.S. arrest of Venezuela's president, there is concern that instability could lead to a significant movement of people across borders. More in this report.
So politically, we don't have a policy to migration. Sociologically, when you put ethnic groups together in one place, especially the immigrant populations are coming, it's going to be the natives versus the immigrants, fraught with danger. And we have not worked out a migration policy.
Dr. Hines acknowledged that from an economic standpoint, the country may have some capacity to respond, particularly given its current energy revenues, which could help address immediate humanitarian and economic needs. However, he emphasized that economic capacity alone is insufficient without clear and comprehensive migration policy. He pointed out that the politically and sociologically large-scale migration presents complex challenges, noting that questions surrounding civic participation, electoral impact, and social cohesions require careful planning. Dr. Hines cautioned that when immigrant populations arrive in significant numbers, especially under distress conditions, tensions can emerge between host communities and newcomers if policy frameworks are unclear or underdeveloped. Importantly, he distinguished between voluntary migration and forced migration, noting that many individuals leaving Venezuela are doing so under conditions of hardship rather than choice. Forced migration, he explained, requires a different policy response, one grounded in humanitarian principles, social integration, and long-term planning.
A lot of the migration is forced. People are coming from Venezuela fleeing hardship. Forced migration is different from voluntary migration. These are things that we have to work out. What is our policy?
Dr. Hines concluded by respectfully urging policymakers to engage proactively with these questions, emphasizing that thoughtful preparation now would help ensure stability, fairness, and social harmony should migration pressures increase in the future. Meanwhile, immediately after the capture of Nicolas Maduro, the president, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, issued a statement stating that the government of Ghana continues to closely monitor developments in Venezuela following recent U.S. military action and the reported capture of President Nicolas Maduro by United States forces, underscoring the importance of stability, respect for the rule of law, and a democratic transition for Venezuela and the wider Americas. He said Ghana supports efforts that uphold democratic norms and contribute to regional peace and welcomes U.S. leadership in reaffirming shared commitments to freedom, democracy, and security in the Western Hemisphere, and that the government looks forward to constructive engagement as Venezuela navigates its next chapter in the interest of all Venezuelans. Adana Dorek, and TV9 News.
President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali has announced plans to commercialize high-value crops in Paramakatoy and Ketu, Region 8, with specialists set to begin work within the next 3 months. The initiative will target young people and women, focusing on sustainable income generation, expanded food production, and value added agriculture. Faith Sandy has the details in this report.
The Paramakatoy airstrip, originally built during the 1940s by residents and missionaries, was a short grass runway that could only accommodate small aircraft. Over the years, it became increasingly inadequate for medical emergencies and tourism. The current upgrades include a 2,500-foot all-weather runway, perimeter fencing for security, and night landing lights, ensuring faster, safer, and more reliable air transport for residents, tourists, and emergency services. The improvements also promote indigenous culture, tourism, and regional connectivity. Residents shared personal reflections on the transformation of Paramakatoy, noting how far the community has progressed from its early days of jungle terrain, thatched roofed homes, and a basic airstrip.
We used to depend on people flashing torchlight at the end of the runway. So we are indeed grateful for it. And because of our different ethnicities and cultures, if we to talk about tourism, people can now come and see what our language is. We speak Patamuna here. I'm fluent in my language. And then we have other beliefs and we have other practices. The indigenous cultural heritage, we practice it here. Our diet, our mode of dress, etc. So this is a positive for the tourism industry.
First of all, I would like to say that we're grateful for the construction of the roads, and it is really benefiting us. Let me say, in this time of the season where there is so much rain. Before the construction of the road, there was a lot of floods, and walking from a distance from home to, let's say, work, it was a struggle. But now you can just go walk on the road, like, the roads, the new dorms, the new dormitory it's in construction at the moment, and it's going to benefit a lot of us and from other communities, those who, who aspire to become someone and would like to learn a lot of things for their future. I'm sure it's going to benefit them from the different communities. And it would not be like traveling to Georgetown and staying away far from their parents and not able to see them for a whole year sometimes. Sometimes children get tired, try to see their parents and so on. But now that they're nearer to their villages, their parents will be able to visit them now and again, at least every month, once a month or so. They can see their parents, or once a term.
I didn't think all of this would have taken place in my days. We had jungle all here. We had jungle, and our airstrip, as we see it here now, it was just a very short airstrip, and it could have only accommodated a small craft. But it is taking place, and it has taken place, and I'm very happy about it. And we have a lot of houses now. In those days, we had some thatch roofs, in one of which I grew up in. But now we have some shining roofs and some colored roofs, and everything. A lot of development has taken place.
I'm happy to have this airstrip being upgraded from previous state. The condition was deteriorating. Development sure will continue. Thanks a lot. Yeah, indeed.
Faith Sandy, Ghana TV9 News.
Janelle Fernandez and Trivat Hari of Mabaruma were busted driving under the influence, with breath alcohol levels exceeding the legal limit, putting lives at risk on the road. The men appeared before Magistrate Clive Nurse on Wednesday and pleaded guilty. Each was hit with $200,000 fine or face 5 months behind bars if they fail to pay. Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, PSC, Captain Gerald Gavaya Jr., has outlined a bold vision for Guyana's private sector as the country accelerates its national digitization agenda, expands renewable energy adoption, and deepens economic diversification heading into 2026. Speaking with Guyana TV9 News during an exclusive interview on innovation and emerging sectors, Captain Gavaya said the PSC strongly supports the government's digitization efforts, describing digital transformation as a game changer for private sector growth.
During an exclusive interview with Ghana TV9 News, Gavaya emphasized the PSC's strong support for the digitization of government services, noting that digital transformation is critical to improving the ease of doing business. He explained that limited access to finance had long been one of the major obstacles to private sector growth, but recent reforms within the banking sector have significantly improved the situation. He pointed out that banks' use of artificial intelligence has accelerated the process of opening accounts and generating credit reports, and similar technologies are now being integrated into government operations. According to Gavaya, the rollout of single-window systems for business registration, Ghana Revenue Authority services, driver's licenses, and other permits will reduce bureaucracy, shorten processing times, and lower operating costs for businesses. He noted that the ability to register businesses online, apply electronic signatures, and complete tax and VAT registrations digitally will now allow entrepreneurs to establish operations far more efficiently. This shift, he said, will reduce opportunity costs by eliminating the need for businesses to divert resources towards administrative procedures.
It speeds up the process of doing business. It also reduces my costs because now I don't have to take opportunity costs from doing business to go and send people to do administrative bureaucracy. So I think that that's going to be fantastic.
Addressing sustainability and the 2030 development outlook, Gavaya said the PSC's 2026 budget submissions place strong emphasis on incentives to support business investment in renewable energy, including solar, wind, gas, and hydro. While acknowledging the government's removal of duties and import taxes on solar equipment, he stressed that further incentives are needed to encourage widespread adoption. He explained that the PSC is advocating for tax deductions for businesses that invest in renewable energy systems instead of traditional diesel generation. Similar incentive models, he noted, have proven successful in countries such as Barbados, Canada, and the United States. The PSC is also recommending tax deductions for private sector investments, including community development initiatives, including STEM education, workforce upskilling, child care facilities, and charitable projects.
There's taxes, right? For businesses, it always comes back to a tax deduction. Off of my tax payable. So what we have asked is that let the government incentivize the businesses where if you want us to invest more in green energy, give us a tax deduction on that. If you want us to invest more in charitable community projects, give us a tax deduction on investments made there. And the list goes on, whether that's in STEM programs, upskilling programs, child daycare centers. If you want us to take care of these areas, make it financially feasible to do that. And the best way to do that is tax deductions across the board.
On economic diversification, Gavaya described Ghana as a regional leader, highlighting that in 2025, non-oil GDP growth exceeded oil GDP growth. This performance, he said, reflects growing private sector confidence and increased investment in non-oil industries. He further noted that government-issued expressions of interest in sectors such as tourism, housing, and agriculture have been met with strong private sector participation. He explained that economic development works best when the government establishes clear frameworks and incentives, while the private sector drives implementation and investment.
We are embracing economic diversification. Now, the government has released a few EOIs, specifically in tourism and housing and agriculture and so on, and I think that the private sector businesses are taking advantage of them. And we will continue to take advantage of these EOIs and these incentives to invest. That's how it works. The government creates the framework, right, the incentives to invest in certain areas and sectors, and then the private sector actually does the work. That's how the relationship has to go. So,
Gavaya underscored a rise in entrepreneurship, particularly among young people, describing it as a key indicator of economic health and confidence. The growing number of new businesses being formed daily reflects optimism about Ghana's economic future and expanding opportunities. As Ghana approaches 2026, Gavaya indicated that digital transformation, renewable energy investment, and economic diversification will remain central priorities for the Private Sector Commission in building a resilient and inclusive economy. Calvin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
More news on the other side of the break. Stay tuned.
Anyone who you believe should not be on the list. If you are desirous of making a claim or objection, you must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to do so. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to conduct any of the above transactions. All GCOM registration offices will open Mondays to Fridays from 8 to 18 hours, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 14 hours. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. GCOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise to produce an official list of electors, OLE. Anyone who became 18 years or older on December 31, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. If you have changed your address since you were registered, you need to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your new area of residence to apply for a transfer. Sunday, January 18, 2026 is the last day you can apply for a transfer during this exercise. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. The government of Guyana is executing a massive expansion of the national healthcare system, marked by the completion of 25 new health centers, the opening of 6 regional hospitals, and the construction of 6 major general hospitals across the country. Announced as part of President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali's 5-year strategic vision outlined on December 17, the initiative is driven by a sharp increase in healthcare spending, from $35.8 billion in 2019 to approximately $142 billion in 2026, aimed at improving access, quality, and equity in healthcare delivery nationwide. Faith Sandy reports.
According to Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony, the healthcare transformation forms a central pillar of the government's plan to move Guyana from a survival economy to a prosperous nation. He noted that sustained investments over the past 5 years have already begun reshaping the sector, reversing years of stagnation when no new health centers were built between 2015 and 2019.
In that vision, he touched on almost every sector, what it is that his government intends to do in health, in education, for infrastructure, utilities, and many more. And what this vision intends to do is to move Guyana away from being a survival economy to one where we are going to be a prosperous country. This blueprint is already in action, because over the last 5 years, you would have seen steady investments in various sectors to bring this dream to a realization. In 2019, for example, in health, we were only spending about $35.8 billion on the healthcare across the country. And if you compare that with what we're doing now, we're spending approximately $142 billion. And this is making a tremendous difference. During his speech, President spoke about the expansion of infrastructure.
Dr. Anthony highlighted that between 2022 and 2024, 25 new health centers and health posts were completed, with another 10 under construction for 2025.
We also started to invest heavily in developing new hospital infrastructure. And as you would know, during this year, we were able to do something that was unprecedented in the history of this country. And that was that we were able to open 6 new hospitals across this country. If we look at Regions 2, we have a brand new hospital that is at the Lima Regional Hospital. If we come across to Region 3, we have the Dikendren Regional Hospital. And here in Region 4, to take off the patient load from the Georgetown Hospital, we have built a new hospital on the east bank of Demerara at Diamond and on the east coast of Demerara at Enmore. And for the first time, we have made a true regional hospital in Region 5, and that is at the Bat area.
The health minister further explained that construction is underway on 6 general hospitals, including the West Demerara, New Amsterdam, Maternal and Child, Moruca, Cato, and Letham hospitals. These facilities will introduce advanced services such as MRI imaging, cardiac catheterization, labs, pediatric oncology, and expanded surgical care, ensuring residents, particularly in hinterland and rural communities, can access high quality healthcare closer to home.
We also have been working on the construction of additional hospitals, and we have started with the West Demerara Hospital that is currently under construction, and in another 2 years, this hospital would be completed. When this hospital is completed, we would have additional facilities in this hospital, which includes imaging such as ultrasound, x-rays, CT scans, but more importantly, we are adding to this new hospital an MRI.
Once completed, over the next 2 to 3 years, the expanded healthcare network is expected to significantly strengthen Guyana's medical infrastructure, improve patient outcomes, and position the country as a leader in modern healthcare delivery within the Caribbean region. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
Significant infrastructure upgrades are taking place in Paramakatoy, Region 8, including new roads, student dormitories, and the expansion of the local airstrip. The developments aim to improve access to education, enhance medical evacuations, support tourism, and boost local businesses' opportunities. Residents say the upgrades will reduce travel challenges, allow families to stay connected, and improve quality of life. Construction and improvements are currently underway, reflecting a strong commitment to regional development.
The Paramakatoy airstrip, originally built during the 1940s by residents and missionaries, was a short grass runway that could only accommodate small aircraft. Over the years, it became increasingly inadequate for medical emergencies and tourism. The current upgrades include a 2,500-foot all-weather runway, perimeter fencing for security, and night landing lights, ensuring faster, safer, and more reliable air transport for residents, tourists, and emergency services. The improvements also promote indigenous culture, tourism, and regional connectivity. Residents shared personal reflections on the transformation of Paramakatoy, noting how far the community has progressed from its early days of jungle terrain, thatched roofed homes, and a basic airstrip.
We used to depend on people flashing torchlight at the end of the runway. So we are indeed grateful for it. And because of our different ethnicities and cultures, if we were to talk about tourism, people can now come and see what our language is. We speak Patamuna here. I'm fluent in my language. And then we have other beliefs and we have other practices. The indigenous cultural heritage, we practice it here. Our diet, our mode of dress, etc. So this is a positive for the tourism industry.
First of all, I would like to say that we're grateful for the construction of the roads, and it is really benefiting us. let me say, in this time of the season where there is so much rain. Before the construction of the road, there was a lot of floods, and walking from a distance from home to, let's say, work, it was a struggle. But now you can just go walk on the road, like, the roads, the new dormitory is it's in construction at the moment, and it's going to benefit a lot of us and from other communities, those who, who aspire to become someone and would like to learn a lot of things for their future. I'm sure it's going to benefit them from the different communities. And it would not be like traveling to Georgetown and staying away far from their parents and not able to see them for a whole year sometimes. Sometimes children get tired, try to see their parents and so on. But now that they're nearer to their villages, their parents will be able to visit them now and again, at least every month, once a month or so. They can see their parents, or once a term.
I didn't think all of this would have taken place in my days. We had jungle all here. We had jungle, and our airstrip, as we see it here now, it was just a very short airstrip, and it could have only accommodated a small craft. But it is taking place, and it has taken place, and I'm very happy about it. And we have a lot of houses now. In those days, we had some thatch roofs, in one of which I grew up in. But now we have some shining roofs and some colored roofs, and everything. A lot of development has taken place.
I'm happy to have this airstrip being upgraded from previous state. The condition was deteriorating. Development sure will continue. Thanks a lot. Yeah, indeed.
Fitz Sandy, Ghana TV9 News.
Regionally, in news out of Venezuela, in his first public address since the January 3rd U.S. raid on Caracas, Venezuela's strongman Diosdado Cabello commended the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and accused the U.S. of killing civilians during the military operation. Speaking to pro-government demonstrators, Cabello, a co-defendant in the U.S. drug trafficking indictment against Maduro, declared that the quote-unquote Bolivarian revolution remains alive despite U.S. claims of control under interim leader Delcy Rodriguez. Cabello, who is alleged to have facilitated ELN cocaine shipments between 2022 and 2024, vowed that Maduro would be returned as anti-American sentiment surges across the nation. Venezuelan's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has sacked General Javier Marcano Tabata, commander of the Presidential Honor Guard, days after U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro. The Guard suffered heavy casualties during the raid, and Rodriguez appeared to be replacing senior officials with royalists while navigating U.S. pressure over oil and governance. Marcano Tabata also led the DGCIM, accused of human rights abuses, but his successor heads SIBAN, another controversial agency. Analysts say the move reflects both the Guard's failure to protect Maduro and Rodriguez's efforts to consolidate power amid threats of further U.S. actions. Internationally, as part of a continued blockade on Venezuelan crude exports, the U.S. military has seized two more oil tankers, the Marinera and the MT Sofia, for allegedly violating sanctions. The Marinera, formerly the Belle One, was intercepted by U.S. European Command in the North Atlantic under a federal warrant. The vessel had previously evaded capture by fleeing into the Atlantic and re-emerging under a Russian flag with a reported escort. The Russian Ministry of Transport condemned the seizure as a violation of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, which protects freedom of navigating on the high seas. Simultaneously, the U.S. Southern Command seized the MT Sofia in a pre-dawn operation, identifying it as a stateless dark fleet tanker. According to data from tankercrackers.com, these latest actions bring the total to at least 4 tankers seized by the U.S. transporting sanctioned Venezuelan oil. And that has brought us to the end of tonight's newscast. Remember to check out our Facebook and YouTube platforms at GUI TV9 for more trending stories. I'm Adana Doric. Good night.